Is anybody else's dog like this? Or I'm guessing this is what it's like with a baby or a child, because she doesn't leave me alone. You don't, do you? You don't leave your mummy alone. No, you don't. Hi YouTube. So my name is Rebecca and I want to film my 12-week pregnancy video, first trimester video today. I've been trying to film this video for quite a few weeks now. I am not in my first trimester anymore. I am nowhere near in my first trimester anymore, but just other things have got in the way, something's interrupted, etc, etc. So I'm now 23 weeks. Obviously in this video there will be some TMI parts. This is a pregnancy video, so yeah, I may be talking about like bodily fluids, blood, wee maybe, poo, sick maybe, I don't know. I've got everything on a notepad that I want to say, and I'm going to go week by week, like the symptoms that I experienced and things. So first, I've already done how I found out, the day that I found out. So on that day, which is really strange because I didn't, I had no idea I was pregnant, even though it was very early. I was on the ball with doing pregnancy tests because I knew that I'd ovulated and I knew that there was a chance I could be. But for some reason that month, that was the month that I was least convinced that I was pregnant. I did not have a clue. I didn't think it had happened that month, and that were the months that I really didn't believe it at all. So the first day, as you will know if you've seen my other video, I went to York Christmas market with my best friend, and that was the day I found out. So I found out in the morning and then went to York Christmas market, so I knew obviously while I was there. And then I did start to notice little things, but I'm not sure if that was just because I knew when I was looking for something that was different about me or my body or something. So on that day I noticed I didn't really have an appetite. I think I will have had a cup of tea in the morning because I always do. That's like literally the first thing I do is make a cup of tea. But apart from that, I'd not eaten anything or drank anything. I've just had that cup of tea. I think we got a hot chocolate maybe in the train station before we got on the train maybe, and we had a couple there. But I just remember these hot chocolates that I was drinking, so I probably had like maybe 3 throughout the day. I just remember these hot chocolates that I was drinking were really filling me up and making me feel a bit bloated and sort of a little bit sick. Not to the point where I wanted to be sick, or not to the point where I couldn't carry on with my day because I felt sick. It was just a bit like, you know, when you've had too much of something and you're just a bit like, oof. It was like that. I remember not being hungry whatsoever throughout the day. I remember not wanting anything to eat. So we did obviously have something to eat because I knew I needed to eat. I had a tray of chips and gravy from the chip shop, which I didn't want. I didn't really want to eat. I didn't enjoy eating them. I probably ate about half of the chips. Yeah, and that was it. I didn't want anything. I don't know if I ate anything when I came home because I got home about 7ish, so my partner had probably had his tea, maybe, unless we got a takeaway or something. But yeah, so I just remember not having an appetite at all that day. And I also noticed I was sweating a lot that day. I was very hot, very sweaty. Bearing in mind it was November, it wasn't that cold, but obviously it was November, so it weren't warm. I was wearing a jacket, not a coat, not like a winter coat, it was just a jacket. It was like a brown jacket with fur on the inside, and I was sweating wearing that. Like, I remember being really hot and just constantly feeling like I needed to put deodorant on. And I remember that carried on for maybe like 2 or 3 days. But the appetite carried on throughout the whole of the trimester, the first trimester. That carried on, yeah, throughout the whole of it. And I still managed to put on weight. I don't know how. So in the first week I did experience a bit of diarrhoea. It weren't extreme, it weren't to the point where I couldn't go out of the house. It weren't to the point where I couldn't get to the toilet in time. It was just loose when I got to the toilet, and that's not normal for me. So yeah. For the first week I also noticed a bit of insomnia. I think that could probably be to do with the fact that I was so excited and I just didn't want to go to sleep. I wanted to research things, I wanted to YouTube things, I wanted to look at baby stuff on the internet and what stuff I wanted to buy. That was just what I wanted to do for the first week probably, because I'd never been pregnant before, so I had absolutely no idea about anything. So yeah, I just wanted to research things, and I was just so excited I didn't want to sleep probably. I did get some stomach cramps within my first trimester. I remember it being throughout the whole of the first trimester, but I've obviously put here the first week, but that did continue throughout the whole of the first trimester, and it was very much like period pains, very much like. In fact, if I didn't know, I would have thought that my period was coming, but obviously that continued for like a few weeks and I didn't get a period, I would have been questioning something. But yeah, there was a lot like period pains, and I've read things. I've read that that's normal. My midwife said that was pretty normal. So yeah, I mean, obviously your uterus is adjusting and growing, so it sort of makes sense. Moving on to week 4. I've put that diarrhea continued. Again, I never remember obviously not being able to go out of the house or not being able to make it to that never happened. So it was just, again, not normal for me, and it was looser than usual. I've also put some insomnia. So I think maybe my excitement had calmed down a little bit and it was actual insomnia where I couldn't sleep. Either that or it was the other way, that I was sleeping a lot. I do remember struggling to sleep at night and things sometimes, and waking up in the night and not being able to get back to sleep. I remember that. And I also remember being super, super tired as well. So that was all for week 4. Week 5, I've put insomnia continued. Strange dreams. I don't remember these strange dreams in the first trimester, but I've had strange dreams all the way through, so yeah, that makes sense. Strange dreams. I remember this one day I got some backache, and it only lasted for one day, and it felt like it was on this side, so on my right side, and it was right where that bone is in your back, sort of towards your hip, maybe like your pelvic bone. I think that's your pelvic bone. It was right on that bone, and it was hurting me a lot. Like, it was hurting me to stand up and things. So I remember having to lay down and just having to rest it. I spoke to my mum and she said it could have been sciatica, but it went off after one day, so I've not had it since. I don't know if that's happened with anybody else, but I've not heard of it, so I don't know. I've put moodiness and emotional, still very emotional now. But yeah, I remember being quite I don't know. Maybe I was a bit snappy. This is more my partner saying this, not me. I don't remember being so moody, but I don't know. I didn't experience my moodiness. He did. But yeah, probably was a bit moody and snappy at times, but I just thought I would be myself. I can be quite I think I can be quite hot-headed sometimes, so that's just maybe me, but maybe I was extra snappy, I don't know. But I have got moodiness and emotional. I do remember being quite emotional at times and crying over like little tiny things, but I don't remember anything specific that I cried over. But I do remember crying over like really small, like minor things. Fatigue. Always a tired person who sometimes naps throughout the day, but I was napping pretty much every day. Yeah, that's me. I have been a tired person all my life. I've had low iron, I've had folic acid, and I am anemic, obviously, because I've had like constant low iron, and other times if it's not iron, it's folic acid. If it's not folic acid, it's iron. So yeah, I have always been a tired person, and I will literally stay in bed until 10 if I can. Sometimes throughout the day I'll take a nap. Usually if I've got up early and then I can nap throughout the day, I will nap. But that sometimes varies. It depends if I'm busy or I want to get stuff done, I will do. It's not always a thing that I nap every day. Might have like 1 or 2 days throughout the week where I've had a nap throughout the day, but I've got here that I was napping pretty much every day. So we're moving on to week 6. I started experiencing bloating, and this continued throughout the whole trimester. Yep, I remember that very well. It was mostly after I'd eaten. I felt very bloated, and yeah, just very bloated. I think I remember feeling a bit sick in this trimester, not like super sick, but after something to eat or drink sometimes I would, yeah, I'd just still taste it in my mouth, and it weren't nice, but it weren't a super sick feeling, it weren't anything like that. Hi guys, so I was just editing this video and I realised I've missed out a massive part of my first trimester. So about 7 weeks, so I was, according to my original dates, I would have been 7 plus 4. But at my 12-week scan they brought me forward 3 days, so I would have actually been 8 weeks. So at this point I had a private scan, just like an early private scan, just to reassure me really, because it was my first pregnancy and I had absolutely no idea about like the chances of miscarriage and things. So yeah, also we got to hear the heartbeat for the first time at this private scan, which made me very emotional and I cried a lot. Shortness of breath started. Remember that very well. Literally I could be laid down and I'd be like like I could be in bed and that was happening. I remember being laid in bed and just being like yeah. So that's a thing. I'm walking upstairs, oh my god, that's so tiring, and yeah, it's continued until now that very out of breath. I've got, again, extreme fatigue, no energy, and just a general feeling I can't be bothered. I remember that very well. Yeah, I remember just not wanting to do anything, can't be bothered to do nothing, didn't want to go anywhere. Every time I had to go to work, I was like, oh god, just didn't want to go. I like my job and I usually do look forward to going to work. Like, not obviously look forward to it, but I look forward to it more than other jobs I've had. So I've got bad stomach pain after eating like trapped wind. I don't remember this as well, so that probably only happened a couple of times. I think this was the start of my morning sickness this week, in week 6. I'll get onto that. I've got week 7. So week 7, nausea started at the beginning of this week, only a little and was mostly at night. Yep, remember it very well. I never, I'd say, was it my main symptom? I don't know. Maybe the nausea and the tiredness was probably my 2 main symptoms. But do you know what? Hearing other people's morning sickness experiences, mine was mild, quite mild. I did experience it. It wasn't nice, and I got it in the night time without fail, pretty much every day. The night time, as soon as I'd had my tea, that were it. And do you know what? A lot of people said if you're eating, it makes it better, but that didn't for me. I could eat my usual what I'd ate before, and then I'd get to night time and I'd have my tea, and that were it. I felt so sick. I was sick a few times. Okay, so mostly it was feeling sick, and it was at night, and it wasn't nice because I was trying to go to sleep and I just felt so sick. I remember I did have like a bowl underneath the bed for quite a few weeks because yeah, I never knew if I was gonna just be sick in the middle of the night. It was horrible. And then I was sick on 2 separate occasions throughout my first trimester, but that was always brought on by something. So for example, the first time I was sick, I was sick, physically sick at 7 + 5 days. I remember this very well. It was the day before my booking appointment with the midwife, so my first appointment, and I was I'd got them pregnancy vitamins, the Pregnacare ones, and they're huge. I probably still got them somewhere downstairs. They're like really, really big tablets. And the ones that I'd got, you had to take two of these certain tablets, and then like another fish oil sort of tablet. It was more like an oval shape, and it was quite clear, like yellowy colour but clear. Taking them, and I was struggling I've always struggled taking tablets anyway. I like cut paracetamol in half, so taking these tablets that I couldn't cut in half, they were like twice the size of a paracetamol. It was so hard. I'd got used to it, and I was used to it by now, but whilst trying to take them whilst feeling quite sick at the same time, it's not a good combo. And I was sat in bed before, I always took my tablets before bed, so I was sat in bed about to go to sleep, trying to take these tablets. I think I'd taken one maybe, then I took the second one, and that made me sick. I don't know if I already had the bowl under the bed at this point, or if my partner had to rush downstairs and get it me, but he brought it up to me, and yeah, sick, all in that bowl. Oh God. I think that was only once though. I was only sick once, and then that were it. And weirdly, I think I'd rather just get the sick up than keep it down and constantly feel sick, because I actually did feel better after being sick. So I think that's what I'd prefer. Also say in week 9, so week 9, it was Christmas week for me. It was Christmas week, but the week I was week 9. And I was sick after my Christmas dinner. Not straight after, which was strange. So Christmas Day, obviously with how I was feeling, I didn't want to eat a lot apart from my Christmas dinner, because I knew I wanted to eat my Christmas dinner, but I wouldn't eat it if I'd had something else to eat. So I had nothing to eat. Bearing in mind, we had Christmas dinner fairly early anyway. We had it at like 1 o'clock, because I was on shift, on a late shift, even though I had a very easy shift, to be fair. So we had Christmas dinner at my partner's mum's at 1 o'clock. Ate it all and ate a pudding, and it felt alright after that. I was full. I was probably bloated again. Went to work, because I was on call. I would have been on call from 2. So I went to work actually about 7. So I was on call from like 2 till 7. Went to work about 7. Came back home. And I don't know when I actually started feeling sick at this point. I think it was when I tried to go to bed and I was feeling sick, and then I was feeling so sick. I'm not gonna lie, I just put my fingers down my throat and made myself sick, because that's how much I just wanted to go to sleep, and I felt so poorly, and I remember it was just awful. So I just made myself sick. What can you do? And then were the only 2 times I was actually physically sick during my first trimester. The rest of the time it was just the feeling of wanting to be sick and feeling sick after food. Everybody says food makes it better, but I don't think it did. It made it worse for me, a lot worse. Even drinking a cup of tea, it made me feel sick, like everything. Right, so I went a bit rambling. Oh yeah, I started actually wearing the sickness bands, them travel sickness bands on my hands. I think I ordered some off of Amazon, and I started wearing them at 7 + 6 days, so the day after I was sick. I remember the midwife, when I saw her at the hospital, said if it's really bad you can go to the doctors and get some tablets, but I didn't feel like it was that bad at the time. I weren't physically being sick, it was just like the feeling of sickness, and I'd only been sick that one time at that point, and something brought it on, so I didn't want to take any medication I didn't need to take. The sickness bands, I wasn't sure if they worked or not. I actually ended up taking them off after a couple of weeks. At one point I did think that they were working because it must have seemed to settle down, but then they started irritating my wrist because they were like I don't know what sort of material there was, but they were like a rough material, and they were irritating all my wrist there and making it itch. So I ended up just taking them off, and I still felt the same. So I don't know if it worked or not. I couldn't say. Maybe for the first couple of weeks it was a psychological thing. I don't know. Yeah. So I also got acne. It got slightly more worse around the cheek area. I've put that. Also had quite a bit of acne on my back. Remember that so well. That's really gone down now, but I remember, oh my god, my back was covered in spots. Yeah. I've got one day at 8 plus 3 weeks, so I've sort of done like a 2-week thing here, because I think week 7 and week 8 were just pretty much the same, so that's why I haven't done week 8 separately. I've got that. I had a headache at 8 plus 3, but I didn't have many headaches, so that was probably just a one-off. So then we're on to week 9. So I started struggling with some constipation. I had to take some medication a few times. So yeah, for me, I'm more of a person that gets constipated rather than has diarrhea. So that's more normal for me. So I don't know if that was a symptom or not, but like compared to the other weeks, I'd had a lot more loose. My bowels had been a lot more loose, whereas week 9, it had been quite the other way. I was extremely tired, and not much changes after this week. That's what I've put. So yeah, week 9 basically, I started struggling with some constipation. I was really tired, and the sickness continued. Actually logging things after week 9 because nothing really changed. And to be honest, I remember my sickness after about 11 weeks. So yeah, about 11 weeks, my sickness I'd say stopped, and I think all my symptoms sort of did like calm down about that time, and I started feeling more back to myself. And then I obviously had my 12-week scan, and that was that. They didn't really say much on my 12-week scan. Everything was fine, and yeah. So I did have cravings as well. I didn't really have the cravings. Right, I hadn't spoke about this, but the cravings were strange. I didn't crave anything specific apart from one thing. The one thing that I still haven't stopped having now is strawberry milkshakes. For some reason, I think it was more milk at one point, and then for some reason I just started preferring, because I'm more of a chocolate person, but for some reason strawberry milkshake were just what I wanted all the time. So now I still, normally, as I've said, I'm a massive tea belly, and I do drink tea throughout the day, and usually in the morning and maybe throughout the day, and then it gets to like more tea time-ish and night time, and I don't have any more tea. And then night time before I go to bed, I always used to have a cup of tea before bed without fail. Now I won't have a cup of tea, it's a strawberry milkshake. Don't ask me why, but yeah, it's strange. So the other sort of cravings that I had, it was more, I'd crave a certain thing one day, like say for instance, one day I'd say I really want a cherry bakewell, and I'd have a cherry bakewell and the craving would be gone. I'd have to have whatever it was I was craving, and then that'd be it. So I didn't like crave the same thing over and over again. Like for instance, I remember one day I was like to my partner, I want sausage and mash for tea tonight, so I had to go out and get the ingredients for sausage and mash. Or I remember one day I craved like a chicken burger with lettuce and tomato and cucumber and mayo, and yeah, it was just so strange, and then I had to get that for tea. That's what I wanted. I remember one day craving like jacket potato and salad, had to get that for tea, had to get that. Yeah, and that was it really. They were my cravings. It weren't like I said, it weren't one day after another, it wasn't one thing after another. Like I didn't crave the same thing over and over again. And food aversions, I don't actually think I went off anything apart from, again, one thing. So if anybody knows pinching on books, because before I got pregnant I was watching my weight and just trying to stay at a good weight, because yeah, if I don't, that's it, put on weight like nobody's business. So yeah, before I was pregnant I was trying to watch my weight, so I was using a lot of pinching on recipes. I was doing Slim and Willed at one point. Yeah, so one of the recipes out of one of the pinching on books is something called creamy bolognese, and I used to love it. It's just bolognese but with a creamy kick to it. So you, instead of, I think you make, I can't remember now, but you sort of make a normal bolognese, but you make it with like cheese, and you still put the tomatoes and everything in, but then you put like soft cheese and things in, so like either Philadelphia or them Laughing Cow triangles and things, to make it creamy. For some reason I did not want that, did not want it, and do you know what, I still don't want it now. Like me and my partner before, we used to batch cook a lot of meals and things like that, so we batch cooked creamy bolognese one time, and it's still in the freezer now, and I still do not want it. It's such an easy thing to do. Obviously we just have to take it out, defrost it, warm it up, do some pasta with it, it's done. It's such an easy meal, but I don't want it. So strange. But yeah, obviously we'll try and eat it again at some point, because I think I did not that long ago, like not a few weeks ago, but like a few months ago, I tried eating it again. I didn't want it. And I will pass my first trimester, then I was into my second trimester and I didn't want it. Still didn't want it. So we'll see. Maybe that might come back. Maybe I'll be one of them things that I've gone off for life. I don't know. But we shall see. Anyway, that was my first trimester story, or symptoms, or whatever you want to say. It was my first trimester symptoms. I can show you my belly, even though I don't think you can see much in this. I do have a bump, which I'll upload. I'll put in some pictures of. Anyway, I will see you again soon.